Now look, I do love my little umph quote. Well, it's not mine, but one that I think is very relevant for today's session is this one. Let me just have a little wander. There you go. You win the fight in the training camp, not on the day of the fight. Well, hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It is I, Alan Clark, from the Recruiting Gym. So yes, apart from the umph quote, I really do like this quote. And I think it's very apt for where we are right now. If you want to win the fight in 2021, and I do believe it is going to be a bit of a fight, then you need to do the preparation. You need to effectively be in that training camp. In fact, you need to be in that BD training camp right now. You need to be in that zone. In fact, you should probably never leave it, note to self. If you want your business to be in good shape at the start of 2021, you've got to do the BD workouts regularly. That's the only way you're going to get into good shape. So look, let's get it out there. This video is going to be shorter than the others that I've done. The original plan for the gym coaches was to do videos of 8 to 10 minutes long. Well, I've exceeded those. I've smashed my target. So the previous 3 have been a little bit longer than that. So I'm going to cut it right down. It just goes to show, doesn't it, that even with a plan, sometimes the outcomes don't always give you what you planned for, but that should never ever stop you from planning, because look, no plan, no direction, no purpose, no clue, no idea, and of course, no positive results. And I really want you to ask yourself this question. Do you want your 2021 to be better than your 2020? Now, if the answer to that is yes, then you really need to ask yourself another question. So what am I going to do about it? Now, the chances are there's going to be several things that you're going to need to focus on, and BD is just being one of them. But I want you to focus on the things that you can control and you can influence, unless, of course, you've got a vaccine in your drawer somewhere that nobody knows about. Now, let's face it, when some people hear BD or got to do BD calls, they think sales calls, and then they link sales calls to cold calls, and then they link that cold call feeling to feeling uncomfortable, and then they don't do it. Oh, and by the way, you shouldn't actually be doing cold calls. No, you shouldn't be doing cold calls. Yes, you'll be calling potentially new people, new companies and saying something new, but it will never ever be cold. So if you have that association with BD, I'm going to give you a very simple tip. Swap the letters around. Yes, call it DB, not BD, call it DB. Yeah, developing your business, because that's effectively what you're doing. Every single touch point you have with the marketplace is about developing your business. Here's a few things for you to consider. You're going to be developing your business contacts. You're going to be developing business relationships. You're going to be developing business conversations. You're going to be developing your business knowledge and therefore have context in your conversations. You're going to be developing your business network, and hopefully you're also going to be developing yourself as a business developer. So let's get to the point. Have you got people to approach in 2021? Are you going to be approaching the same people with the same approach that you approached them in 2020? Now look, part of future planning is actually looking back. I know it might sound counterintuitive, but you really need to look back at what has worked and what hasn't worked. That way you can adjust your approach for 2021. And look, let's face it, this time of year, people get into that mindset of, oh yeah, but it goes really quiet this time of year. And they start to believe in this sort of Christmas lull and, oh, nothing really happens in my marketplace. Well, actually, it's not strictly true, because there are some markets that are going to be particularly buoyant. And this is a great time. Let's use that lull or potential lull to actually do something really positive and proactive. And also, let's face it, this is unprecedented times. None of us have actually gone through a COVID Christmas. Let's hope that it's going to be our last one. So my recommendation is use December. Use December to go out there and really attack your marketplace. Now, some people might think that attack is a bit of a strong word, but let's face it, we've been under attack for most of this year with coronavirus. And, bit of a fun fact, did you know that coronavirus is in fact an anagram of carnivorous? Now, can you imagine carnivores? Carnivores in the wild don't just sit there and wait for the prey to come along. They don't wait for their meal to be delivered by a kangaroo. Sorry, Deliveroo. That was really bad. You can have that in your Christmas cracker. No. These animals get out there, they do their research, they map out their territory, they look at the terrain, they look to see where the best hunting grounds are, and they make a number of attempts before they actually get the kill. So I'd like to just draw some BD analogies and BD conclusions from that, and I'll put the slide up so you don't have to keep looking at this mug. Map and remap your marketplace. This is an ongoing daily activity. Research content that you can use in your articles, your posts, your blogs, your emails, your in-mails, your conversations, your podcasts, your videos. Identify new decision makers, new companies, new regions to approach. Even if you have existing or lapsed clients, see if you can identify new decision makers within the same business. After all, some might have left, they might have been promoted, new people have taken over. Start planning out your social media campaigns. Start to create your target client lists. And remember, these could be lapsed clients, they could be existing clients, and of course, your new client prospects. And identify who are going to be the closest fit to your specialism and for the types of candidates that you can find. Now look, there's so much more in the gym, way too much for me to mention on here on these short videos, but there's loads of stuff on market mapping and your first approach. So the point of this video is not just to remind you, but to get you in the gym so that you can actually give yourself a real good kickstart to 2021. Now I'm going to make a guess that at some stage in your career you have been asked, usually by a team leader or a manager, what's your pipeline looking like? Yeah? That sort of question that just sends a shiver down your spine. And this is when you have to talk with confidence about what you've got coming in, what interviews you've got arranged, what offers you've got pending, what's going to land, what is it you're going to secure. And basically you have to give your commitments to your bosses. Now, without planning and without good activity, it's going to be very difficult to answer that question. It's going to be very difficult to actually build a solid pipeline if you don't do that. So use your time wisely, as I've already mentioned, in December to research, remap and map your marketplace. Get your lists together. Get that pipeline of knowledge going. Have really good conversations, because it's this knowledge that is going to demonstrate your specialism, your credibility, and having these meaningful conversations hopefully will get you referred to other people within the organizations. And yes, now probably is a good time to go out there and cleanse your database. Go out there and reignite maybe some old relationships. Use the data that you have on there to create new business conversations. And dare I say it, get calls booked into your diary. Get calls booked into January of 2021, maybe even February. At least that way you can arrive at 2021 with stuff already in your diary, in your schedule, calls to make. There's going to be nothing worse than turning up to your desk, wherever your desk may be in 2021, and looking at a blank sheet of paper, zero pipeline. That is not going to be very motivational. You won't be able to see the way ahead. You won't have any sort of clarity. There'll be no vision there. And if you think about the year 2020 and how 2020 as a phrase is used, 2020 is used as a way of assessing our visual acuity. If you can actually see something with clarity and sharpness 20 feet away, that's where the opticians and ophthalmologists talk about 2020 vision. Now let's face it, who started 2020 with knowing what was going to happen in 2020? Who had that clarity of vision? Nobody did, unless of course they are very well connected and they've got connections in very high places. So to get you 2021 ready, ask your clients. Ask your clients about their 2020. Ask them about their 2020 vision and how 2020 has impacted their vision and how that is going to impact their vision for 2021. You need to be in this for the short, the medium and the long term. And you need to know what your clients' short, medium and long-term plans are. Knowing this is going to help you to not only plan, it's going to help you to reduce any peaking and troughing, it's going to help you to build a solid pipeline and hopefully get your business into, do you know, I was going to say normality then, but that word normal has been overused. Get back into some sort of routine whereby you can feel confident about your business. Now, of course, you've got to be motivated to do this. Motivation can come from within. I know I've talked about motivation already in a previous video, but it's not just about motivation. I think 2021 is going to be more about discipline. You've got to be disciplined to do the calls, to do the numbers, to make those approaches, to do the required activity. And look, I suspect that your plans are going to change. There's going to need to be a little bit of flexibility around market changes, client changes, around, lockdowns. There's all sorts of things, external and internal, that we need to take into account. But if you're in daily contact with your marketplace, there's no reason, if you're having these good conversations, why you can't actually start to see the way ahead for 2021. So I want to leave you with a few workouts. Here they are. Quite simply, I've already mentioned this, map and remap your marketplace and the organizations. Get those organizational structures, find out the reporting relationships, draw up your list of existing clients, lapsed clients, and of course your prospect companies, and think about how it is you're going to approach them. Start to accumulate, or rather develop and build upon your knowledge through research and really good conversations, and of course your BD approaches. Find out from your market and your clients how 2020 has been for them. What's it been like? How's it impacted their business visions, their business outcomes? And find out about what their 2021 is looking like. Yeah, start to plan out your blended BD approaches. You're going to be using a mixture of calls and meetings, online, emails, articles, e-shots, videos, podcasts, and maybe even, dare I say, something physical in the post. Anyway, back to me, and that's why I'm standing by this bad boy, and that's what I did. I think it was a couple of years ago that actually I dressed up and took this photograph. So my final action for you is have a fantastic Christmas, and hopefully, if you plan it well, a much, much better new year. Good luck in 2021.